Hello, I'm Joey Haskins, and welcome back to You've Never Seen, in which I showcase a movie you've probably never seen before. Quick question, what's the most popular sci-fi franchise of all time? Yes, that one. Okay, the second most popular. There we go. Star Trek is the media franchise made by Gene Roddenberry, with several shows and movies to take up a whole month of viewing. And Star Trek's movies, depending on who you ask, are either really good or really not. A common criticism is that the odd-numbered movies are bad while the even ones are good, but everyone has their opinions. Still, in that criticism, most people turn to the second film, The Wrath of Khan, as the cornerstone of the Star Trek films. And it is. But that doesn't mean we should discredit the other films as well. We should probably talk about the 6th and 8th films eventually, but today, I want to talk about the 4th Star Trek film, The Voyage Home. The film stars the original cast of the show, that being William Shatner as Captain James Kirk, DeForest Kelley as Dr. Leonard McCoy, James Doohan as Engineer Montgomery Scott, George Takei as Helmsman Hikaru Sulu, Nichelle Nichols as Officer Nyota Uhura, Walter Koenig as Commander Pavel Chekhov, and Leonard Nimoy as First Officer Spock. Nimoy also served as the director for this film, his second time after doing the third one. The film takes place after the events of the third one, with the crew of the now-destroyed Enterprise exiled from the Federation after almost starting war with the Klingons. However, when they decide to come out of exile and back to Earth, they find that a mysterious probe is sending a signal to the planet which causes the power grid to go down and several natural disasters to occur. In order to save their planet from destruction, the crew investigates the probe to see what it's signaling, with Spock discovering that it's trying to communicate with something on Earth. Not with humans, but with humpback whales. The reason why there's no whales responding, though, is because they went extinct back in the 20th century. So, the crew heads back in time to 1986 to get some whales and take them back to the future. I know that sounds like a very complicated plot, but there's a lot of factors into this film, and I only just covered the bare bones. I didn't even mention the side plot with Spock, who is still rebooting a bit after coming back from the dead. His journey is kind of an afterthought in the plot, but it is still nice to see him do his best to go back to being not just his primarily logical ways, but to being more human as well. And while the plot does have a world-ending threat, there are a lot of moments between the crew members to relish in being in 1986 America, a time that seems so de-evolved to them. There's funny moments like Scotty and McCoy introducing transparent aluminum in exchange for whale tank parts, or Chekhov trying to communicate with American soldiers in his native Russian accent. There's a lot of fun character moments like that in this movie. We also have Catherine Hicks, who plays a cetologist local to 1986 named Jillian. She was brought onto the movie because of her good chemistry with Shatner, in which she has a lot of scenes with. It's also good because the original character she plays was originally a male astrophysicist with Eddie Murphy in mind. He was a Star Trek fan and wanted a role in the film. But the Jillian character, I think, is much more likable than what that could have been. But she had different plans in the original script. Her character was originally supposed to stay in 1986 by the end of the movie, but in the film, she goes back with the crew to the 23rd century. The writers of the film liked the original ending because it implied that people in the present should take responsibility and try to prevent problems happening in the future today. And I personally agree with that. When I watched the film, I did think it was a little odd for her to go to the future, but after seeing what was originally planned, I think her staying in 1986 was the better decision. But of course, that didn't end up happening in the end. Look, although Star Trek 4 is a Star Trek film, is it also just a big message in saving the whales? Yes, and I love it. Nimoy had signed on to direct in order to bring more light to the cause, and while there isn't any evidence to say if that actually happened or not, it is still a good message to put in a film, especially in a series as beloved as Star Trek is. On top of that, The Voyage Home was praised for its character moments and story. It was even nominated for 4 Oscars, the most out of all the Star Trek films, tied with the 2009 reboot. Now this is my first time watching Star Trek 4, and while the 8th film, First Contact, is my favorite, The Voyage Home is certainly up there in how good it is. I think it demonstrates a good message that can be timeless and does well to integrate it with the heart and goofiness of Star Trek. Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home is available to stream on Paramount Plus, or you can check it out at your local library. With Weston Media Center, I'm Joey Haskins, and I'll see you all next time.